Hi, this is Keanu Thompson.
And I'm Geno Bisconte.
And you are listening to us
on Chanel in the City.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Chanel in the City. I am your host, Chanel Amari, and I'm here with a very special guest, two special guests, two of my very dear good friends who are amazing human beings, who are hilarious. They are stand-up comedians, and they are amazing hosts. We got Geno Bisconte, the host of In Hot Water, one of my favorite shows, and Keanu Bisconte, host of Keanu Cast. You guys got to check it out. Beautiful, amazing people who are just recently got married. Welcome to the show. Finally.
Thank you for finally having us. I shouldn't say finally. Thank you. Glad we could finally. Thank you for us finally getting here. I'm still not saying it right, but I had a little whiskey. I did.
And we're recording this podcast live from their amazing apartment and studio. And you guys also should check it out if you guys any podcast.
Yeah, come by our apartment and studio. I mean it, actually.
Literally. And they also have a recording studio, so they can, if you guys want to record, you guys always ask me, Chanel in the City. But let's get into it. I've been friends with these two beautiful human beings for a long time. Geno and Keanu believe in my comedy. They're fantastic comedians. They're hilarious. You guys can check them out on the road. You can check them out at Rodney's February 20th.
Yes.
I'm going to be on the show. You've been doing comedy for a really long time.
Yeah. You'd think more people would know who the fuck I am.
I think people know. Yes, you can say.
Good Lord.
Do you know who the fuck he is?
That's right. That's what you say when you show up at a gig. But yes, you would think more people would know I am, but I don't know. I've always just been doing comedy, getting on stage, telling the jokes, seeing where it leads me. Today, it led me to your show.
Well, let's talk about that because a lot of people don't understand it. Stand-up comedy is constantly changing, and you've been doing it for a long time. Tell us what you mean by that. Like, what do you think has been different?
I think since I got in, when I first got up here to New York, I'd already been doing comedy for quite some time I always say Philly, right outside of Philly, whatever. And I'm starting out in bars. So I have to go into the crowd, do a lot of crowd. I don't have to, but I do. That's how I start. So I'm always doing crowd work, but I'm also doing stand-up. But that's what I like. So I can't ignore the crowd. And then comics that started up here, and God bless them, they're great. They know how to do their set. And don't get me wrong, I probably could have crafted a set like that, but I always just liked bouncing off the crowd, feeding off the energy, doing that. So that's what I've been doing since I got up here. And it's evolved a lot since then. It's moved from doing stand-up, from stand-up to, all the social media apps. And then you need a big following on TikTok more than you need to be funny. And you have DEI stuff, which brings planes down out of the sky.
Tell us how you really feel.
I'm just trying to walk through
it. Well, white guys are back.
Yeah. And by the way, now I just sit back and wait for the work to come to me because, the comedy industry is dying to have straight white men over 50 doing shows. Oh, no, we're not.
But we're also talk about, like we talked about this, where stand-up comedy is like the foundation, but a lot of stand-up comics, they pray and they want to be like a full-time host, like how you were on Compound Media.
Sure.
Geno had a successful show for 8 years on Compound Media in Hot Water, and it's still continuing.
In our apartment.
In your apartment.
Thank you, Keanu. I'm sorry, baby.
And Keanu, you can chime in, like, what is this whole obsession you think of, like, getting past at the clubs as opposed to kind of like starting your own brand when comics really strive to have like an on-camera full-time work, right? We're not doing stand-up to do stand-up. Let's just be real.
When I started comedy, I think it was on its way out of like hanging out at the clubs, sort of. It was the whole social media craze and look how successful. There's some comics all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, they're headlining theaters. Matt Rife, for example, off of one TikTok video. So when did I start comedy? Maybe I graduated college in 2015.
Wow.
And then I started because a professor of mine told me, he was like, you're a great writer. I know you're moving to New York. This is going to sound crazy, but I used to do stand-up in New York. You should try it. I'm like, you're crazy, David Lee Nelson. You're just nuts. And then I did, and I fell in love with it. But that was almost right there at the shift of like, okay, hanging out at the clubs and like just getting waiting to get like thrown up there on the stage was almost sort of on its way out. Now it's sort of, to me, really out. And what really does it do to be, I don't know, maybe Chanel, you understand this. Like, what does it do to be passed at all of the clubs? It's great.
Right.
But is that what we're aiming for when you could just surpass all of that and be like somebody that is selling out clubs and venues, like if you're on a reality television show, you know?
Right.
So,
Right. Like, what's the next goal? Like, you can do the clubs every day, and that might be a form of success. But then when you're doing the clubs every day, you want more. You want mass media,
No matter where you
mainstream
are
success.
in comedy, in any industry, I believe, no matter where you are, you're here, and no matter where you are, there's thousands upon thousands of people saying, "How do I get there?"
Yeah.
And there's, and just as you're saying, how do I get to where these thousands and thousands are? So you're always looking for the next thing, like you said.
Right.
So you never know what the next thing, well, you should know what the next thing is, right?
Right. But the thing is also, like, hanging back to what Keanu said about hanging out in clubs. I got to be honest, from my experience, when I hung out at clubs, I didn't get thrown on stage. And I would even ask,
When did you
And I
hang out
don't-
at clubs?
I would say
I'm not saying
right
you're wrong,
after
but
COVID, before
after
COVID,
like
and
when
then after COVID.
I hung out at clubs.
So I don't hang out. I just like let myself get booked by sending my tape, by sending my accolades, my credits.
Sure.
And if that can get me in, because I see a lot of comics that don't hang out and they get booked based on their merit. So what are we
is
missing?
it their merit or their social media following?
Or but there's
That's
people
their
that have
merit, though.
yeah, but
That's their
there's
merit
people
now,
that
right?
literally have
Which is
1,000
their
followers.
merit, yeah.
But there's people that have 1,000 followers and they're still getting on stage by not hanging out and just sending a quick tape that might or might not be that funny.
I believe you. I don't even know anymore, because when I got up here, early 2000s, I did the hang, and I love the hang, and it
helped you
in 2003 and 4. Right. Yeah, that was the procedure.
Understood.
You get up here. I always say this story. Like, when I got up here, I'm like, all right, I came from Delaware. I'm like, all right, you're right outside of Philly, but it's Delaware. And Delaware was great to start comedy. I was in Wilmington, Delaware. And when you're first starting, you're going anywhere you can. You know, you don't get, and you are 20 minutes from Philly. You're an hour from Baltimore, 90 minutes from DC, and you're 2 hours from the city because you're driving at night. So I would go all over. And then after a while, it's like, you're living in New York. Excuse me, you're living in Delaware. You're like, if I don't move up to New York, I'm full of shit. It's not like I live in Nevada or the Midwest. It's like, I just need to put everything I own in my car, drive 2 hours north, sleep on a couch. And I did that. So then you're up here and you're hanging out at the clubs and you're meeting people and you're networking and you're doing their bar gigs and someone sees you and then you live that was the old model. It's like, all right, now I've got 15 minutes and I'm known and I'll get an agent, I'll get a festival, I'll get a thing, I'll get a late night and all that stuff. But I could never get the tape out because, as I said earlier, I like fucking dealing with the crowd and I couldn't do a clean tape. And that's on me, not complaining. But I found my own way. You know, I would do shows and then I like wound up on radio and I did, I did the Stern channels and I met Artie Lang and I did his podcast and I wound up working for Anthony Cumia and all that. And that's great. That's great. But that was my model. And you got it from nowhere in that statement. Did you hear in that diatribe, did you hear social media or TikTok or Instagram? Right. And that's why I'm setting my weight. So it's like, I don't have that stuff. I have it now, but I'm not good at it. And I'm learning it, but I'm on my path.
Thank God you have such a young wife.
You see?
Exactly. But you're saying the same thing. Like, you don't do the hang, right? You do the social media.
I love to hang out, just to hang out. And that has got.
But she doesn't expect to get on stage because of it.
Of course.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Same with me. I don't, because I come from reality TV and acting and hosting. That we don't hang after shows. Like, actors are very like, I do my thing, I come on time, I leave. They don't want to just hang, even if they like you.
In the old days, if you came on time, you'd get a lot of work, Hottie.
Yeah.
I was looking for it. I was waiting for you to say it.
Yeah, but
I wanted it more.
Let's take me for an example. Like, if I didn't hang, I love hanging out with the two of you.
Sure.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
Good time.
We're genuine friends.
But if I didn't,
people.
would you guys hold that against me or be like, no, Chanel's good at what she does, so like I'll book
No,
her?
because you're busy and a lot of times you don't show up. And you know what I mean? It's like,
no, it's true.
And same with us. We're
but
like,
you're understanding.
It took us forever to get this thing because one of us always had to cancel. And we were like, how the fuck? It's like, good, you're busy. How many times do I text back to you? Busy is good. Busy is good. No one's faulting you for being busy.
I get wet when people cancel plans.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm like, it doesn't bother me. Not that I don't want to hang out with the person, but it's like, okay, you know what? It never offends me canceling plans.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
So you don't think it's?
It
you're
offends
saying
me
it's
when
not-
people get offended by kids. Oh, calm down.
But I changed.
You're
around
not
my
David
whole
Letterman.
schedule.
You're not,
Shut
you know?
up.
Sorry, baby, what?
No, it's like, but well, I wish I would have known earlier. Shut up.
Oh.
Okay. Like,
You know what else drives me nuts? When people get mad, and don't get me wrong, when absolute fucking nobody's get mad at you for not remembering their name. Who the fuck are you? I can't
Right.
remember important names. I tell this story all the time. Same thing from a show we did earlier. My buddy Bamba, I would go to his place his kids were 6 months apart. So every 6 months birthday. And I went one time and I met this guy. His name was, I'll never forget, his name was Dan. And I met him one time, and 6 months later, I'm down there in Wilmington, Delaware, middle of fucking nowhere, talking to some fucking suburban fucking zero with his 2 kids. And I go, hey, he goes, how are you? Good. I'm like, how are you, buddy? He goes like this. You don't remember my name, do you? And I go like this. I don't go. I'm like, no, I'm sorry. And I'm like, what is it? He goes, huh. And he walks away. And I walk.
that is emotional, and it is terrorism.
No, it's not, because the guy's a fucking nobody.
No,
It's
not
fucking-
you, not you, not you. To say you don't remember who I am.
Yeah.
Do you? That is so not just because I don't remember your name. There's something called decorum. If you
Yeah.
can tell, why would you call me out on
I went up to my buddy and I said, what's
Yeah, I would
his
just
name?
ignore that.
I go, that guy Dan. He goes, yeah. He's like, yeah, he's a good guy. And the way he said, I'm like, see, you're telling me all I need to know. I'm like, trust me, I'm coming back every 6 months and I will call him every name that begins with D except Danny. Everyone. Because like you could get my name wrong. When I go on stage to this day, hey, hey, Geno, what's your intro? I want to get your credits right now. Who's go? And I say, you could say in hot water. No, and I go through it. I'm like, and if you get my name or credits wrong, no one's gonna correct you. Don't worry about it.
No.
You know what I mean? But you get these people like that are nobody's like, make sure you get my name right. Make me remember your fucking name.
Well, that's the
Right.
thing, like about the two of you. I wonder where that comes from. Where you guys don't really lead by ego. You do your own thing. You beat to your own drum.
Right.
Like, where did that? Like, did you guys?
you
work
keep
on
talking
that?
back to me. I'm gonna beat you to it. No.
And then we're gonna
Okay.
talk about
You-
how
it
you
could
like
have been
force Kiki to like date you, and you're like 30 years older than her. But other than that, and we're gonna talk about like shitting where you eat. It worked for these two, but it would never work for someone like me. So don't take a page out of my book. All I'm saying is there's things that work for the two of you. What do you think it is? Like,
Mexicans work for the two of us. I'm kidding.
Okay.
You mean the
ones that
can
I
cross
don't
the
wanna
border?
remember your
Okay,
name
now
anymore.
It's pronounced crossed.
Listen,
Kiki's gonna be the one who's gonna be refereeing this whole podcast and being like,
Yeah.
"This is what you two can say.
The
and
voice
this is what
of
the two
reason.
you can't say."
Are
yeah.
we allowed to curse on here? Because he's been.
Yeah,
going
just
on
as
here
much
for-
as we limit it as much as possible because I don't know YouTube. If I put it on YouTube, is that
Oh, I don't
No,
know.
cursing is fine.
Yeah.
Just no untoward words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes, exactly.
well? What do you think it is, Kiki? Like, did you plan this where you're like, we're gonna beat to our own drum, or were you like, because we know that comedy's a lot like high school, and I'm gonna let you say that famous line
Yeah.
you told me where
David Letterman said it's like
what do you say?
he's like entertainment is like high school with money.
with money.
It's
It
so
is.
funny.
It
And
So
he said
how
that
do
when
you
he was
not beat to that drum? Like, how do you not
Mm.
follow that and let that noise affect your success?
Well, beating to my own drum is something I've always like in high school. I didn't even think that anybody really liked me. I have always just been on my own path. I don't know. I pride myself, and I think Eugene is the same exact way. I pride myself in being genuine. I don't know
Yeah.
how
authentic.
and authentic. I don't know another way to be. So if
And
I'm
sorry to
going
interrupt, by the way, for all of those who
Yeah.
don't know, Kiki's a skilled actress. So it's even harder to be authentic when you're skilled.
Actress
Yeah.
skilled.
I'm
But
a
it is like
terrible
she's
actress.
great. And
She's great.
And it's hard to be like authentic and act. Like,
It's
Right.
Can I go the other way? It's
does
hard.
that make sense?
Watch
Yes.
it. It's
Yeah.
hard for people like us, and this includes you. Hope you take this compliment. I'm
Thank
sure you
you.
will. To be inauthentic because it's hard to live that many lies. It's hard to
Thi-
be that many people. Kiki, I'm sorry. You go.
This is where this is why I'm not a famous actress.
She's so.
Because
pretty.
this is why stand up is better for me because it's me. It's more
Okay.
genuine to me. It
Right.
is hard for me to act a certain way.
Can
I'm
I?
not saying I'm a terrible actress. I can get through it, but they always said like, Keanu, you're meant for soap operas. I'm like, well, you may as well just put a bullet in my.
Right.
They make great money, but I'm like, you're telling me I'm a terrible actress. Is that what you're telling me? All right.
Jambalaya, and that's a callback to our show, How We Switch the Street. If I may pay her a compliment, and this is why she's authentic, and this is why she's a comedian, and this is why I became a comedian, and I've said this a lot of comedy. You don't. We talked about this earlier with the guy from Jersey Shore when he goes, "I'm doing comedy now." No genuine comedian ever said that. You don't say, "Now I'm going to try comedy."
Right.
Comedy sucks you in. Comedy chooses you.
It
Okay.
does.
And Keanu.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what made you guys do comedy?
Keanu told the story about, you told that story, like the guy's like, try comedy. And did you tell it? And
Yes,
and
right.
she took the class.
I went because it was a solo performance class, and he like took me under his wing, and
Who was your comedy teacher?
See, everyone.
He
goes to
was in
school
our
for it,
wedding.
though.
His name was Kevin Dombrowski, but that was when I got to New York.
He just got past at the cellar. Kevin Dombrowski is one of my favorite comics. He's
still at the
one of
cellar,
my
right?
closest
Yeah,
friends in the world. He
yeah.
just got past there. It's long overdue. He's great. Sorry to interrupt you.
See,
No,
he just got past there. People think
Yeah.
comedy is so
And he
easy.
called me immediately. He's like, I just got past at the cellar.
See?
He's like,
It's
remember
hard.
that? I'm like, don't roll your eyes at no. Go on, Keanu. I'm sorry.
And good for him because he's
great.
He's incredible.
I fucking love him.
Actually,
So
side
happy.
note, I went. I had a teacher that said it was a solo performance class. So solo performance is like stand up, but like a play, and it's not joke. It's like Eric Bogosian sort of things. And he loved my writing and just said, I think you should try this. I know you're moving to New York. And I'm like, yeah, you're crazy. But the moment I did, I called my dad and I took a class at the Comedy Cellar. And then you do that, performance or whatever, because I just didn't know how to get into it. I didn't know who to talk to or like how to like work my way in. I didn't know like really about open mics. And then I called my dad after that like little class performance. I was like, that's the best thing I've ever done.
Most fun I've ever had on stage, I believe.
And why? What does it make you feel? Like, what does it make you feel when you get on stage?
That high, right? It's
Right.
like, oh my God. And it's different from acting because acting is almost easier. And even though acting is so hard because, it's remembering lines, it's character, it's trying to be somebody else. It's almost even, it's like, oh, I can be myself, but is myself funny enough? So there's the give and take of that. I was addicted to it from the moment I did it. And not that I wouldn't still act, but this is the path I've gone down now. So
what inspired like each of you behind, you guys are really funny and like, yeah, you say you do crowd work, but you guys have like really good jokes too that have been well written and well thought out. And by the way, the secret to comedy that people don't realize is you have to say it over and over again as if like you just said it in that moment.
Yeah.
What inspires you and her? You guys have different sets to like keep to your content and not stray away because of what others say.
Well, I evolved, if I'm going first, I evolved to this because,
you are going first in a sense.
There you go. Not with that attitude. I was saying, but it's again.
He's a 1 minute man, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Boom. Done.
So
Start
gross.
again. Back to one. But comedy is like, I've said this, like comedy chooses you. You do it once and you're like, I don't even want to bore you with that, but your act evolves. And when comedy is like the first time, it's like riding a unicycle. The first time, I would imagine, never been on one, but I would imagine when you're learning to ride a unicycle, you just want to fucking get on it. Okay, once you get on it.
I love how you picked the unicycle out of everything you could pick. But
Because-
yes, okay, because that's the
watch
hardest
this.
thing.
The unicycle is the stage. And first, I just got to get on it.
Right.
Either one. I just got to get up on the thing.
Correct.
All right, you do that. All right, once you do that, all right, now I have to stay on it. Okay, once you learn how to stay on it, you get more comfortable on it and you can do more things. And you can prowl the stage. You can fucking juggle whatever you want. But the thing is, it's going to evolve. And once you're comfortable up there, then you can focus on what you're doing on the goddamn thing, right? And you'll say anything when you're learning to stay up there. Anything to keep your balance, any joke, any whatever. But once you do, all right, then you start talking. And I've always and I realize this in hindsight, I've always wanted to say the smartest thing in the dumbest way, or maybe I'm saying the dumbest thing in the smartest way. And I evolved from doing jokes about Wawa when I lived down near Philly to, I went to, when I was in the late 90s, I backpacked through Europe. I didn't even know Anne Frank's house was in Germany. Excuse me. I thought it was in Germany. I'm a dummy. It's in Amsterdam. You go there and suddenly you realize that it's not adjectives like Germans killing Jews while other countries look on. It's people letting people kill people. And so you're like, I've got to make light of this. And some people don't like that. Some people are like, oh, I don't want to laugh at that. Fuck you. Oh, I want to laugh at what's cute. Suck my dick. Stay in there, Angel. Fuck you. It's easy to laugh at what's funny. And then you're active evolves. And then COVID hits. And you suddenly realize, because you've been around longer, you're not smarter than people. You're like, I've lived longer and I've seen more things. And I've been sick. And you start writing jokes about that. And you start punching holes in that. And you start getting people to laugh at the stuff that fucking people want to scare you. Because laughter fucking heals you. It relieves stress. It releases endorphins. It boosts your immunity. And it's almost like in the past 4 years, they didn't want any of that. They wanted us to run and hide indoors and go on YouTube and drink in fucking Zoom meetings and all that shit. And that's how your act evolves. My act evolved to that. So you're just saying dumb things for laughs. And then you're like, maybe I can say smart things for laughs. And maybe people will push back on that. And maybe that's not your people.
Right, because we're too scared. Even me, we had this talk about like not being too edgy or like not offending people because I've done roasts. I've done it all. And it's like, but then I thought about what you said to me. Like, if you really genuinely make somebody laugh on a concept that's relatable, you can't go wrong. Even if the clubs say you're not good enough.
If you can, this joke never works. And it's a serious bit, but the joke never works. If you, like, when you are laughing, it heals you. It does. You feel it.
Yeah.
Like, and I said this earlier on our podcast, and it's the
medicine.
first time I said it, but I mean, it's like the shit that heals you is the laughter from the inside, not the stuff we see on TV now where I'm like, well, I'm watching Jimmy Kimmel. I'm in studio and it says applause. So whatever they say, just no. Like when I tell a joke and people laugh like this because they're laughing from the inside, but they don't want the out. Fuck that. That's the shit that genuinely heals you. Every organ in your body is there from the moment you're born. Okay. And whatever created it heals it. It does. No one, we existed 500 million years somehow without Dr. Fauci. 500 million years. And now they're like, well, if you're pregnant, make sure you get these 9 vaccines. And
I'm not going to have a child with you, Eugene.
Oh,
right?
Please.
Eugene, I love how you
Her
call him
tongue
Eugene.
is pregnant. My point is.
Ew.
Speaking of pregnant.
There you go. But you get what I'm saying. I'm making the answer too long. But like, if you can use comedy to fucking make people laugh and make them think, that's what you evolve to. That's where you wind up. And I
That's
think
what I'm debating with everyone about. That's the goal.
It's
about saying something that no one, everyone's scared to say, but making it funny.
Would you rather,
and not being monitored?
Would you rather be us? Or would you rather be Jimmy Kimmel, who gets all this money and literally at one point says, because he's dancing like
Don't you want to be both?
No. Do you want to be the guy that says, ready for this? You want to be the guy that says, hey, if you're not vaccinated, then and you have a heart attack, then die in the emergency room and eat your goo. Okay. And by the way, let me tell you something. Jimmy Kimmel has a 7-year-old son who needs surgery after surgery. Right. Do you, and I pray for that kid. I do. He did nothing wrong. But do you think when he goes home and sleeps on his piles and piles of money that he got for lying, for saying shit and acting holier than thou when he did blackface?
Well, that's why he's getting replaced.
When he did black, he's
not any. This is his last year. You know that.
I didn't know that. I know he was talking about retiring, but if you're saying he's being replaced, but the bottom line is, because I always say this, it's the movie V for Vendetta. And I'm sorry, baby, I'm talking too much. She says a lot more intelligent shit a lot more quickly. but it's like, it's the V for Vendetta. You're not of use to us anymore. Right. Colbert, all of them. But it's like, you're sitting here saying these lies. You used to have women on trampolines. You used to do Karl Malone, who's a friend of yours. That's
a deep dive reference.
No, why is
the
it?
Man Show, right? So,
yeah, but this is a guy that.
I know. I'm just saying. Explain. You just saying you used to have women on trampolines.
Oh,
might
trust
not
me.
Make sense to
I
people.
think anyone.
It was to see their breasts bouncing up and down.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
You did. I don't remember that.
Exactly, but because
How
you're
long
young,
has he been on the air for?
Because he's a self-made man. Him and Adam Carolla, and Adam Carolla speaks logically now. Adam Carolla has been going after Gavin. This is getting too political.
Yeah, but he's so not sellable. I wonder. It's so fascinating to me how he got on air the way he got.
Adam Carolla, you mean?
No, Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel,
the way
he sucked at the tit of Howard Stern.
You're going on a board meeting,
and
you're thinking these execs are going to be like, "I can sell you." No. There had to be more of a hustle.
Well, it wasn't. There wasn't woke culture then. It was funny and harmless to watch hot chicks on trampolines. You weren't like, oh, what a dummy she is. Like, look at that hot chick. I want to see her bouncing. It wasn't like, oh, you're treating me like an object.
Yeah. Even though we thought that, you didn't talk about it out loud.
You didn't care.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal.
It was like funny.
What's that, babe?
Nothing. I just love Sarah Silverman. She went on Jimmy Kimmel's show. I love her so much. She went on Jimmy Kimmel's show like maybe a few years ago. And she was talking about how he's married now. And she said, and you'll hate this, Geno. So just
I hate it already. I'm kidding.
Please don't fucking start screaming. But she said, yeah, his wife's name, I think, is Molly. She's like, Molly got thin, cool, woke Jimmy. I got like fat ass women on trampolines, Jimmy. I thought that was cute.
She's hilarious.
I love her.
But that's like another thing is like she's so famous, like just being a relevant comedian, especially as a woman in general, it's like it's very hard, even if you have the industry behind you. Like she had Jimmy Kimmel behind her. She had all these people. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, she's famous, but like, is she as relevant? Like,
I think she's still relevant, but I might be
Are
wrong.
we talking about her as much as we used to, or talk about others?
I think she doesn't. She's leading. She does a great podcast too. It's not for everyone because it's political or what have you. But she is, and she was also. I think she was nominated. She's been in films. She
did blackface too, by the way.
She's also not the reason, but she's probably the first time I saw stand up. Jesus is Magic is one of the funniest things to this day I've ever seen in my life.
Would you say she was one of, like, who would you say is your influence in comedy? I would say
it first 100% her. I think you get up on stage and you sort of like do an impression of your favorite stand up, but in your own words.
Right.
I wouldn't say it was an impression, but she's definitely, I've been on a show with her or two actually. And she's absolutely hysterical. I don't care how she feels politically. I'm not political like Eugene is, but
funny. Who's a funnier female comedian, her or Adrienne Appalucci?
Unfortunately, I don't really know who Adrienne Appalucci.
Thank you for proving my point.
They're different. Yeah. And yeah, we know Adrienne because we're in the comedy
Adrienne
world.
Appalucci is the funniest female comedian, arguably not named Jessica Kirsten.
And
I will tell you something about Adrienne Appalucci.
Why do you think she doesn't get that credit then, Adrienne?
Because Adrienne Appalucci and Jessica Kirsten.
He always used the full name.
Adrienne Appalucci and Jessica Kirsten are both pear-shaped older women.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, Sarah Silverman was young and hot and did all, and Sarah Silverman is very funny. God forgive me if you think I'm not saying that. God forgive me if you think I'm not saying that. But Adrienne Appalucci, she does a joke now about trans. She goes, why is everyone worried about trans? People, relax. It's 3% of America, and they're all in third grade. And I'm not even telling it right. I think
she really is. She's
brilliant.
But she has had her success. Meaning, people do know her. You don't think?
I think, but this is a litmus test to go back to our show. A lot of people like, if you just said who's Adrienne Appalucci, please look her up. She's fucking hysterical.
Yeah, but if Adrienne Appalucci had a team with money like Jimmy Kimmel did, she would be Adrienne Appalucci where the worldwide would know her.
Right.
For the talent that she deserves to be credited. This is why you're sitting
in this small apartment.
That's my point.
You're right.
Comics come to me all the time and ask me, it's get money for a really good PR marketing team and you will make it. Your talents will show. Even if you're competing with the best of the best, it will be made. But some of these comics will complain that they're doing the stage every night and they're not mainstream. Why? Wow. Because no one's going to take you up and just put you out there. That's not what Hollywood is about.
It's not like, okay,
Hollywood's about making money.
You know what, kid? I just saw this kid over in, at the 3-Star Lounge. I saw him do his act at 1:00 in the morning, and I'm going to make him a star. Like, I don't think that's happening anymore. Right.
Of course not.
You know what? Anybody that says I'm on the grind, kill me. All right. I'm grinding. Like I'm just grinding. Shut up.
But why do you guys think like some of these really funny comedians will play the clubs every night and they don't get to Hollywood? Like, what is that? Is it what I'm saying? Because they don't have the right agent?
Well, look at Dave Attell.
If they're so funny, why aren't they making? Yeah.
Like
why aren't they
making?
What about Dave Attell?
Yeah. One of the funniest comedians maybe of all time. Maybe
no,
the funniest.
Yes. One of the funny comedians, arguably of all time.
Why is he not on TV?
The funniest comedian alive right now, in my opinion.
He just had a Netflix special. But why do you think he's
and it
not
wasn't
in
even
movies?
That great?
But why is he not in movies? Why are agents not taking him and selling him?
I almost think
he's
he
so
just
funny.
Wants to be. I think he just loves doing.
He does. I agree.
So you see, you answered it. Like there's certain people who want certain things. Like me, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable. Yes, I would love just doing the stage, but I would want probably more. Honestly, for my art.
Exactly.
I want more people to see it.
Yeah,
I'd want more people. I'm not lying. He's smoking a cigar on Chanel in the City. This is hilarious. People don't even do rated R things. This is like PG-13. Anyway,
All right.
but yeah, that's a good point. Like some people just like the stage and selling theaters, and they're cool with that. They don't need to be famous. And then I think that those opportunities come along, right? Like Pete Davidson does it with his crew.
Oh yeah.
Like Ricky Velez,
Ricky Velez,
and Giulio Gallerati. Like they've been doing comedy for a very long time.
Sure.
But they also get opportunities now that their friend has made it, where now people are seeing them like, hey, you want to do a movie or you want to do this? I don't think they were thinking.
You know what kills me whenever someone says, God, I miss Artie Lang. And I always say, you miss Artie Lang. You miss him. I did his podcast. I was his second chair. I toured with him. He's like, hey, I'm doing Noki. You want to open for me in LA? Yeah. All those things. It's like, yeah.
Why miss Artie Lang? He's still alive, right?
But he's out of comedy.
How is that possible?
Because he can't trust himself.
He's like a legend.
He's a legend, but he doesn't trust himself around fucking whenever he goes. When I used to open for him.
So confused.
When anyone used to open for him, I know from personal
How
experience.
are you pushing Artie Lang out of comedy, though?
He pushed himself out.
How?
Because he couldn't resist heroin and stuff. Sorry, baby. Thank you.
Okay. So it's the addiction you're saying that could ruin you. Which, by the way, I always...
These fucking people with addiction. I'll tell you something about them. Tell you something about these fucking losers.
This is an Alcohol
These
Anonymous.
fucking queers.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I get it. Whiskey. It's 3. It's breakfast. Put down the ocean.
That's my point. Is like comedy for addicts in general. People are extremists, especially like someone like me.
Addicted personalities.
Addicted personalities. Comedy is great for you because it puts you in this like focus mode, and that is the addiction. Is like getting the high off stage, getting the laughs. Even if you make people laugh or you don't, it's that high, that challenge of like trying to. What can I do next time? For me, at least. Through
it could be
from an addict
chasing the dragon.
Chasing the dragon. Yeah, like.
Or if you get addicted to the laughs, or if you're like Artie, you're hilarious, and then your fans who love you so much are handing you bags of stuff. And then right. I mean, am I wrong, Gene?
Nope.
No, you got
exactly.
You got a lot of examples like that.
No, look at me. Like I would fucking take all my fans across the street after Compound to fucking Sullivan's, and they're all fucking like you just get addicted to that.
But right, you can get addicted either way. It's like being the funniest and then like trying to escape, or like being not the funniest and just diving into that craft and not doing any other addiction.
Chanel, I have a question for you. Do you have you ever like a great story where someone was so offended by a joke or something bombed? Like,
I love that.
That's
insanely.
A good question. I mean, every set I do, it's like talking about the fact that I'm Jewish is offensive. Talking about the fact that I'm Israeli and Colombian is offensive. I feel like
that should not be offensive.
I know, but I'm a little of an edgier comic. Like I definitely say what's on my mind. I think I say things that people do agree with and understand, but they're like, oh, I can't believe this came out of this white girl's mouth, even though I'm not that white. So certain things.
I've never thought of myself as white, as Italian.
Right.
Like, I don't think Jews, Greeks, and Italians are white. No disrespect. I don't.
And I'm going to ask you guys what your story is. But I see you guys in action, and like the crowd responds to you. And I'm not comparing. I'm just saying there are times I say things and I'm like, was that really out of pocket? Like, it wasn't that out of pocket. And they're not laughing. They're like, oh. So I guess I don't know if there's an answer to that. Like, how do you change that? If people don't like you, how do you change what your art form? Because I'm not going to change who I am.
You don't back
That's
down.
the problem. Like I'm 40 years old. I'm not, either you like me the way I am or you don't.
But wouldn't you argue, and then, well, if I may,
like I'm talking about being Israeli and Jewish, that's offensive.
But no,
like, I don't know how to tell people that's not offensive.
You can't. The second you back down from it,
okay,
you become Jimmy Kimmel. God forgive me, a problem we should all have.
The guy that does the trampoline thing?
No, the other guy that fucking,
because I don't mind being the girl bouncing with my boobies.
Right?
Neither
he had girls on trampolines.
But the second you back down, the second people know that you can be bought, that you will kowtow,
right?
Then that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's the path you choose.
Then you're selling a false narrative by saying someone's genuine when they're
not. You're selling though, and people are buying.
Someone is genuine, and you're not. You're buying into a false reality.
I always say this: if you don't go within, you go without. I didn't invent it, but it's a great phrase that I say like it applies to a lot of things. But as a comic, as an artist of any kind, you either go within or you go without. Simply put, you either create from within and say, "This is what I want to say. This is how I'll say it. This is how it will come out of my mouth," and then I create from within, and it goes out there. And whoever hears it, then and maybe this isn't the best way, or maybe it is, but it works for a lot of people. Look at Shane Gillis. Shane Gillis got fucking canceled. And then he,
Wow, and he came back.
came back strong, and there's a lot of other stuff.
But would that
involved.
happen for a woman, or you don't believe in that?
I'm sure it would happen for a
versus
woman.
Man.
I'm sure it would happen for a woman. I can't think of one, but I will if there is one, but I'm dumb. But I'm saying if you create from within, that's great. But you can also go without and say, all right, what is the industry like? And people do this. And that's Jimmy Kimmel now. All right, so this is what they want me to say. This is who they hate. So I will fucking take this. I'll digest it. I'll give it to my fucking staff. They will write stuff, and I will regurgitate ridiculous.
Is Jimmy
I
Kimmel,
will regurgitate.
has he ever been a stand-up though?
Yeah, he was before he had the show.
Jimmy Kimmel,
he was a stand-up.
I'll even go before. Jimmy Kimmel used to be like on remote control.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like the side.
He was doing clubs, all like hustling,
and he was
all
great.
the time.
Yeah, he was the one that did. Adam Carolla did nothing. I don't mean that in a bad way. Adam Carolla is brilliant, but Adam Carolla's the one that said, like, Jimmy Kimmel's like, we're doing this. He dragged him everywhere. It was like, I used to always say, I'm Adam Carolla, although I'm not. And Kimmel was Aaron Berg. Berg was like, we're doing. I'm like, you got it. Just tell me where, whatever. But you suddenly now you're Jimmy Kimmel and you're saying this stuff and you're making a shit ton of money, but you're a puppet. You're saying what you're told, and that's fine. But it's like you wind up saying things that should, as a human, when he said, when you had those fires in California and you have these dumb idiots, everyone on either side with an ounce of common sense agreed. And you saw this woman who was a DEI hire, and she's like, well, if I can't lift up your husband to save you, he's in the wrong place. And that's stupid and terrible. I'm not even going to attack her because it's not her fault that she's retarded. She's been encouraged to be an idiot. It's not her fault. It's not her fault. But when Jimmy Kimmel's like, yeah, it's not her fault, but I've got to try and make sense of it and she's like, and the way Donald Trump said it, like, you don't want firemen saving you because they're not white enough, which is a lie. And then says, and I want to thank the firemen, and I'll say this again. Don't ever do that. My Uncle Frank was a fireman, my good Frankie, like no fireman has ever said, oh my God, here's your baby. Say thank you.
Right.
No fireman wants to be
They're
thanked.
And
I said this to my brother, and he's so good. He does my show every Friday. We do bonus loads, and my brother really knows this shit. But he said it when we were watching. Remember when that stupid Crowley, the DEI fucking fire chief, and she's like, whenever she keeps saying, and I want to point out that these firemen are doing a great job, and we cannot thank them enough. And I'm like, why would you say that? And my brother goes, she wants the interview to end. You understand? Like, everyone knows firemen do a great job. Everyone knows they don't want to be thanked. So anyone that ever said thank a fireman, they're cunt fuck pieces of shit. Can I say that? They are. They are.
I hope they don't cancel me for that.
And it was so, well, then you delete that too. I'm so sorry. I get so worked up. But it is. It's an insult to the firemen. And they act like they're shitting. Oh, there goes the cunt fuck alert.
That's the alert. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like they insult everyone's intelligence, being like, oh, Donald Trump's so bad. I want to thank the firemen. The firemen are working their asses off with no water or anything because the liberals, because Gavin Newsom's like, we don't need the money. We'll take the taxpayer money and use it to fund an election by letting more.
By the way, this is not a political podcast. Go on.
No, it's not.
I know. I get out, but the simple.
No, but he has. Honestly, you guys have to follow Geno.
Right, like,
he has a lot of insight.
Can I change this too? Firemen don't take the job to be thanked.
Right.
And if you're a comedian, like I believe I still am I allowed to be fucking angered and insulted that this guy's making millions upon millions to say shit and not care because, oh, look, it's an applause sign. Right. And there's an applause sign behind me.
That's
every fucking paid puppet in the audience will laugh at it. And it's a goddamn disgrace. So when I say a joke using a word about gay people that begins with F and say, I don't have a problem with my brother-in-law's gay. And I'm like, and I say this because this is another thing about liberals. They're like, oh my God, if you don't vote for me, you're not black and all this stuff.
Chanel.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear my worst story where I said something untoward on stage? What do you think?
Thank you, honey.
Yes.
He gets out over his
I want to hear because
Thank you.
I can't believe that
I didn't even know what started that. Thank you so much.
I can't even understand that she had a bad set because I've seen her. So what would be your bad?
So good. I love this story.
It wasn't a bad set.
Okay.
Can I add one teaser? And I promise I won't.
What are you going to talk about?
When she told me this story afterwards, I'm going to compliment you, and I won't get. This is one of. There are three. I've got 2 or 3 moments where I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to marry this girl.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm going to marry.
I just think about his
This is one of those moments. Is that fair, honey?
No, I just thought
Thank
about
you for getting me out.
I just thought about you getting yelled at by Kate Willett on her show. Wait,
Oh yeah.
I can't think.
I'm a piece
I don't
of
know what
shit.
I just
Your
came-
friends are all pieces of shit.
Yeah.
It came to mind. Go on.
Will it went, I'm uncomfortable. I don't think I should
Go.
be here anymore.
And they go apologize, and they said it. They're like apologize. I go no.
But also, Kate Willett's another example who's a really funny comedian. She's
She
great.
is.
She hustles, and she's also done TV. And it's hard for her to like. It's not an easy crack
She
a
was
barrel.
on Netflix for 8 minutes, and she thought she had some kind of.
Didn't
So
you do
my
other stuff?
story.
Okay, yeah, your story.
Anyway,
Anyway,
Thank you,
So Chanel, I was at, this is probably, and I've learned from this.
Right.
I have a joke. I'm not political. I like, unlike
Right.
my husband over there.
Yeah,
I'm
what
not
would you say your
political.
set? If you can just tell our audience, what is your set like cover?
It's stories of
Excuse
my
me.
misspent youth. It's irreverent. I talk about my life a lot, right?
For those of you who don't know, Keanu is also a really old soul, but she's really young. She's very emotionally mature, which I don't
Thank
understand.
you.
But go
I'm
on.
32, which
It's
in this
crazy.
day
What?
makes me out the pasture. Exactly.
Yeah, but I met you when you were like 27, 28, and you were still mature.
That's
Maybe
why I
even before.
married this elderly
we've known each
man
other for
over
a long
here.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
I'm
on.
so sorry.
We've
But
known each other for a
I,
really long time, though. Like maybe almost over 5 years.
Oh
That's
yeah.
crazy. Okay,
We were
go on.
definitely banging for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. What
I was
whatever.
not banging both of them, just FYI to be clear. But go on.
No
Yeah.
threesome.
Not for lack of try. I'm kidding.
So I'm not political. I have one joke I think that maybe is a little touchy in the political sense. It touches on abortion,
Okay.
which I'm sorry if it's too much, but I'm no one's pro-abortion, but I'm pro-choice. Okay,
Right.
that. But the joke is more about gender reveal parties. Okay. And how the ridiculousness of a gender reveal party. And yeah, it touches on abortion. Depending on the area, the joke normally does well. If I'm in some bumfuck Ohio, I know not to tell this joke because they're gonna groan. But I was doing a gig at a country club in, I think, in Pennsylvania. Okay. I was doing a gig at a country club, and the joke is basically,
Take care of my girl.
if we're making up reasons to, throw parties like a gender reveal party, you gather your friends and family around, pink balloons, yay, it's a girl, we all come, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then I just say, like, if we're making up reasons to throw parties, I feel like we should have something that I like to call decision reveal parties. It's the same concept, except you invite your family and friends over and you reveal whether you're having an abortion or not.
Wow.
Typically,
That's
yes.
funny.
And see, you went wow because typically
That's funny.
It's brilliant.
but it can get, depending on the crowd, people are like, oh no. But basically I lean into it and I go, it's just gonna get worse, so buckle in. So, but people that come out to a comedy show, if you want to be offended by something, then you're at the wrong place.
Well, the question on that,
go somewhere else.
Do
Yeah.
you stay in that? So you
Yeah.
said depending on the crowd, right? Because I have
Uh-huh.
jokes like that too, where
Yeah.
it will go really well at a real club. Like I'm
Yep.
talking about a house show.
Yep,
And that's
yep.
a different, we can get into, that's too many details. Like I think psychologically the house shows are like set up for you to like win.
Sure.
So you can't really tell
It's
on
a
that.
home game.
Yeah, it's a
like-
home game. Like it's a
Right.
home run because they're setting you up already as a comedian, then
Yeah,
open
yeah.
up for so-and-so, and then they're going to laugh. My point is though, if it's different crowds that might not laugh, do you still stick with that joke no matter what?
I lean into
do.
it, but I had to learn from this one. I was at
Okay.
a country club. There was no leaving because they put you up in the country club. I was the only chick. I was staying in like the bridal suite, and the whole crowd was there. I did 20 minutes. I'm like, it was great. I'm having so much fun. I tell the gender reveal party joke. It's going well. And then there's a part in the gender reveal party joke where I compare, you know how you cut into the cake, it's either pink or blue on the inside.
Right.
And then I say, well, at the decision reveal party, it's like this. We're having the baby birthday cake. We're having an abortion, red velvet. That normally gets some groans, but people were still laughing. And then I say, it's still just going to get worse. And if it's angel food cake, she miscarried. Everybody go home. People were laughing.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, it's true.
Fucking great.
People were laughing, but one woman, and this is a well-lit room. It was not like I could see every single person. People were laughing and laughing. One lunatic woman, the town weirdo, stands up, raises her hand, and
In the
says-
front row.
in the front row.
So it's in her
front
face.
row in my face. That's shitty. And this was like kind of, I mean, quite a few years ago where I didn't even know what to say or how to react. You could hear a fucking pin drop at that point. It was like a fucking funeral procession. I couldn't dig myself out of it. I just was like, I think the only thing I could come up with to say was, I'm so sorry. Have you had a miscarriage? That was okay. So now I'm really bombing. She walks out, and then I didn't even know it's at the end of my set. I don't even continue the joke on. I get off stage. Everybody is it was so shitty because it had gone so well before. So I walk directly, make a beeline for the bar. There's a man sitting there with a glass of whiskey like this.
Yum.
And I was like, can I please have a White Claw? He said, and he looks at me and he goes, that was my wife. And I went, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He said, no, you were pouring your heart out up there and she just had to fucking ruin it.
Well, that's what that happened similar to me where like this guy thought I was funny. And then the girlfriend was like, I felt that was very offensive. And by the way, your jeans are really offensive. Like you can see your camel toe. And I was like, this bitch is just jealous. I'm like,
God.
So I go to her. I'm like, you're so pretty and you have everything going for you. You're really jealous of me putting myself out there bombing. Like that's sad.
Yeah.
To get your boyfriend's attention. Like there's something else going on. And that's where I feel like, how do you guys cope with the hate? Like, do you know it's one ear out the other?
I lean into it sometimes, you know.
Do. No, but how do you go home like being like they're not right? I know
because
who I am.
you don't want a middle ground. And by the way, circling back, and then I'll answer that.
Actually, wait,
Keanu,
that woman came up to me after the show. First of all, and then that man like took like 3 cigarettes from me and like wouldn't leave me alone
Like me.
even during the rest of the show. And then she came up to me and she said, "You don't tell those kinds of jokes in this town."
Because she speaks to the entire town.
What?
Right.
I can't tell that joke in Scranton. She's like, no one thinks it's funny. I was like, your husband thought it was pretty fucking funny.
Right.
Bitch. Like,
people always use the no one to like, that's like a mob mentality. Like no one think. My ex used to say that all the time. Like going back also to your thing where you're like, I struggled. I was sleeping on couches to be a comic. My ex used to be like, no one thinks you're funny and you haven't, everyone thinks that you haven't struggled and slept on couches. So you can't be funny. I'm like, not every comic does it. And I have been. I struggled. You just don't know about it.
Right.
People just don't know about it.
Right.
I just don't talk about it as much as loud, which maybe I should, about my struggles just so people can really know that I'm a real comedian. Give me a fucking break.
No, you're not trying
Amy
to get...
Schumer was not sleeping on couches.
No.
Nikki Glaser was not sleeping. Like I can name Mark Norman wasn't sleeping on couches. Sam Morril was not sleeping. Yes, there's a beauty to that. But I'm saying you don't have to do that to be a real comedian. There's just these phrases that people will throw at you to make you feel like you're not like this woman. Everybody,
you're less than.
Yeah, right. Thank you for speaking for the entire country club.
Right.
You made everybody uncomfortable. I didn't. As far as until you raised your hand, you dumb bitch.
But you have to have a
very having a good time.
That's the thing. You have to have a very strong sense of self to say, I'm still going to continue these jokes and I'm still going to be a comedian. Because a lot of comedians get run out because of that, right?
But and
like, what makes you think somebody stands the test of time and then people just quit? Like, why do they?
You
quit?
have an act that doesn't fold. Artie said this to me once, and he said, "Like, Gene, you have an act that doesn't fold." He's like, I'm a straight white male over 50. Right. You know how I get jokes? How I get work? I have to be funny. That's how I get work.
Right.
It's a good problem to have. I need to be funny to get work.
You used to tell me like, why are you so scared of like being funny? Like, just do the fucking work. Like, even if you don't get past, if you like,
you got to be funny.
The paper, and that helped me.
Yeah,
that really helped me. I'm like, you know what? He's right. Like, I should want to like write every day. I should want to make it funny. I should want to play a bar show, even though I'm not passing.
Anyone that lets you, because you're getting paid. No one, even people, doing the clubs every night, they're getting paid.
Yeah,
and actually, it's not bad at some clubs anymore, but it's not going to fucking sustain you. You have to get the other stuff going. So you want to get on stage in New York anywhere you can, anytime you can.
To be funny.
Right.
So you're prepared for that opportunity.
I always tell this story. And by the way, the other thing I was saying is like, if people hate you, you don't want a middle ground. There's no way. Watch this, what's the line? If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You know what I mean? Like you don't want everyone to like you. No, everyone is not going to like you. And like, you don't want a middle ground. I want people to be passionate about what I say.
Correct.
One way or the other.
Correct.
And
Me
the
too.
people like, and
We're
if
getting a
anyone ever
divorce then.
if anyone ever said, I'm on the fence with Geno, do you think I'm on the fence with Chanel? Would you be like, oh, let me go win him over?
No.
Fuck you, pick a side.
That's
And-
how well, that's the problem. My sister says to me, you really don't care what people think. And I think that's why you don't have a lot of people who your friends were like you, but I'm not in this business to have that.
No.
Because this business is all solo. I'm lucky to have the two of you. I'm lucky. This is a rare.
We're lucky to have you.
We're,
Yes,
we're
we're very
lucky.
loyal
We're
people.
very lucky, but that's not the norm of the industry.
No, it's true.
No, it's about fucking what can you give me? What can I
Right.
get? Yeah. And
And
that,
what's my value?
and don't get me wrong, God bless them. That's what they
Yeah,
want.
that's fine.
The universe will
can't
give you
not
whatever
want-
you genuinely want. And
Yeah,
if that's what they want, great.
I shut my breast.
We talked about this on my show today.
Yes, check it out. By the way, I've been on his show. This is
called In
airing
Hot Water.
Friday. It's called
Yeah.
In Hot Water.
It's on
but
Patreon.
Great show.
Yeah.
Great show. How can they sign up? By the way, let them know.
Well, I'll put it right in. Will this show up if I put it in the bottom banner? There you go.
There you go.
Patreon.com/InHotWater and 50% off this month with the code MULE because it's Black History Month. So it's MULE.
And we support Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Okay.
We do.
No, we
Even
don't.
though black people
No.
don't
Yes, we
support Jews. No, I'm
do.
kidding. We do. We
I
do. We do.
don't care
We do.
if you're gay or normal.
Okay.
I don't care if you're black
That's
or human.
shitty.
This rant.
I don't care if you're
No, we-
vaccinated or you can
No,
think.
but they
No,
can
we're not
literally sign up.
doing that. We're not.
You need to sign up. No, it's Chanel in
It's
the
right
City,
below.
honey.
I'm kidding. It's a joke.
This is going to
Jesus
be an
Christ.
editing nightmare.
By the way, you could see all of us perform our out of control jokes at Rodney's
Yes.
February 20th. What time?
I believe it's 8 p.m.
8 p.m. And you know what I love about Keanu and Geno is that you're very you remind me of the Adam Sandler crew where like you'll bring everyone you come up with no matter
Yes.
what people
We take
think.
care of our own.
Yeah, you take care of your own.
And it's amazing how some people forget that. And you're like, all right, wasn't meant to be.
They do. They do forget that.
My
Right.
mother used
Like
to.
you'll make it big and then you'll like hire all of us and everyone's like, why wasn't I nice to Geno? And you're like, you dumb fucks, because you were nice to me all this time.
Yeah.
Right.
My mother, I say this all the time. She gets it like, I grew up on a farm in South Jersey, and my dad was a farmer, but he also did electrical work. And my Uncle Frank lived across the
Oh,
street.
you come from common folk. Okay.
I do, from plain old folk. And my Uncle Frank was a plumber, and he lived across the street because my mother and her sister, my Aunt Olga, they were sisters. They lived across the street from each other. I make every story too long, but bottom line is, I'd say, hey, Mom, why did Dad get up in the middle of the night and go fix that woman's, electrical circuit? And why did Uncle Frank get up at 3 a.m. and all and go fix that woman's hot water heater and get nothing for it? Because he's a jerk, Eugene.
I was gonna say because he really went down on them. No,
Yeah, I know.
I do a joke.
He fixed an electrical circuit of a neighbor
He
lady.
fixed a black box, but I'm saying
that's
like
an
The
Italian
lady
for
was
you. They don't
jumping on
do things to get
trampolines.
things back.
no, and I think I don't even
Jews are like that too. Just as we have a false
Jews,
narrative.
but it's not even. It's about the people you were raised,
Yeah.
how you were raised, and I just do things for people that are good at what they do, and I expect they'll treat me the same, and usually they do.
They do.
They do.
You have confidence.
Yeah.
One thing
but
I
if
want
they
to
don't,
also
that's
go
on me.
to is that these two are newlyweds, and let me tell you, we're gonna talk about dating a little bit because
Are we?
we can also talk about like my rant because like I don't agree with dating or marrying someone in your industry because it hasn't worked for me or others, but there
Sure.
are a few couples that it's worked for. Why don't you talk
Bonnie
about
and Rich Voss, what?
Yeah, Bonnie and Rich Voss, my favorite couple, favorite humans, like you two. But what do you think works for you two? Because most of the time you really can't shit where you eat, especially in comedy, right?
We would
'Cause
have
it'll
found
affect
each
you.
other anyway. It's something. And also, we
Was
met
it
through
comedy?
podcasting.
Yeah,
we
but was
actually
it-
met through podcasting.
So
because
talk to us about how you
because
met.
I was.
Yeah.
You tell him, baby.
We met because I would often be a guest on the shows at Compound Media.
Mhm.
And even though, I mean, we were just hooking up kind of behind some shitty exes of ours backs for on and off for 5 years. But I always knew, even when it wasn't him, it was always going to be him because we
Wow.
click. We disagree on so much in life, but we genuinely enjoy each other's company.
She thinks my penis is too
But
big.
what made you?
I'm like,
so you have
I
big
think
dick
it's fair.
energy.
She's like, it's too big.
It's always the big dick energy that keeps you around. Like me and my ex, I still talk about him 2 years later, and
The
he's
gay
like,
guy?
"I don't know you.
He
I know
does.
I fuck 28-year-olds."
Mm.
But anyway,
I put this in our vows, Chanel. I said the
You
first
did?
time I met Geno, he was drunk at 10 a.m., surrounded by fans at Compound Media.
Yeah.
And I walked in and he said, they will let anyone in here. Hey, hottie.
I go,
And
hey, hottie. I was
He
so.
went, hey,
I tried
hottie.
to
And
nag
then
her.
he, and
Oh,
he
they'll let
said-
anyone in here.
yes.
Hey, hottie.
He
I
said,
have no
He
problem.
still knows
he
those
turned to his
terminologies.
friend, he said, they will let anyone in here. here. Hey, hottie. I was hooked.
But what made you take
yeah.
it to the next level of 5 years on and off? Usually a person doesn't commit when that happens. Like, what made you guys finally say, we're committed? We don't give a shit what the industry
Because
says.
she's funny and she's
Right.
genuine. And the story I didn't get to, and it's perfectly put now. That show she did where someone goes, you're shitty. We're
Yeah.
like,
She said,
just,
that's shitty.
that's shitty. Thank you. She goes, like, it was and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm paying. She's like, it's her first big weekend. Like, remember, she's
Yeah.
doing a Friday and a Saturday at 2 different places. They're
Tough.
paying her good money. They're putting her up, and she's nervous. And like, I don't mean, and she's like, I'm like, and I just say, you're gonna be great. You're gonna be funny. So I call her Friday after the first show. How'd it go? And she doesn't say, God, I'm great. But she goes like this. I didn't want to get off stage.
I did.
That's a comic.
Sure.
She's like, I was doing so well. I was having so much.
Right.
Not I was funny. I don't want to get. That's all I need to know. So I know she's good, right? Like, not that I didn't know. Second night, the ninth thing, I call her up. I go, how'd it go? And she goes, you want to hear about the 17 minutes I killed, or the 3 minutes where a woman raised her hand and said my joke was shitty and I didn't know how to get the hell out of it? And that's a comic. And I go like this. Tell me the shitty part, because as a comic, you know I'm funny. I know you're funny. I don't have to tell you all my funny stories, but don't you want to know when I'm eating a dick on stage?
Okay, but to
Yeah.
not compare and not to bring it over, like not to talk about profusely because my audience knows about this already. My ex would never say that. So what
Yes.
my point
Maybe he
is,
didn't think you were funny and he just thought you were hot. Take the compliment.
I don't
or
think
the
he thought
insult.
both. I think because he hid me.
He's not going to be
I
with
was
you
a
if it's
secret.
neither.
No,
He's
when
not-
you're a secret,
Yeah.
they're gonna be with you.
Yeah.
You
He
should
thinks you're
never
hot.
be a
No, they're
He
gonna
just
be with you if you're a secret. They're gonna fuck your vagina and not care. Excuse my
Right.
language. Just
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
thinks you're hot. He just doesn't think you're funny. No one's fucking a
No,
ugly
I
chick
think
because
he's.
she's
I
funny.
think he was
They're fucking
probably,
a hot chick and
Hey,
tell
hey,
Wait,
hey,
Keanu.
hey, hey,
Sorry,
hey,
I'm
the
sorry.
wife.
But-
I'm the wife. I think he was probably jealous. He's in comedy too, right?
yeah, but he's not a
So-
comedian.
Right, but he was probably jealous and intimidated.
So
That's
why
the
help
thing about
younger girl?
Eugene. Right.
So
right.
why help others? Like my question is, if you guys
to
weren't
just fuck you over? That's
Right.
the only. He's a bad dude. Then I guess. Like
like
and
if
I
you
don't
guys
know
didn't get
him,
married, if you
yeah.
guys didn't get married, do you think you would still support her,
Yeah.
knowing because she's funny?
he
Right.
always was. Even when I was with other in other
Mhm.
I
relationships,
stalked her all the time.
he would always. he did
I
stop
used
me.
to.
Wow.
I used to.
He
When she
would
was
say
with her
the
guy.
nicest
Makes me want to
thing.
cry because you guys are like really
When
good
she was with her
people.
guy, and I there was a buddy of mine over at Compound, and I'd be like, I'd go see her and we'd have drinks, and then she'd leave because I didn't want to get, And then the next day, I'd say to my buddy on there, I'm like, hey, I was hanging out with Gunner. He's like, how'd it go? Oh, her and her boyfriend are doing great. He's like, that's great. Isn't that great, Bobby? Isn't that great?
But that's my thing is like, did you feel Keanu, even though you know you're funny, and I know I'm funny, like meaning not from an ego point, I know what I can bring to the table. So to argue with me after you're sleeping with me, it's also like a low blow. But did
It
you feel like you needed Geno to support you and like put like vouch for you, or you were like, I'm gonna make this on my own, whether or not my boyfriend?
No,
I don't think there's ever a
no.
time I.
And is that a double standard? Because a lot of people say, oh, you fucked him to get on stage.
I'll
Yeah,
do
oh
that.
my
My
God.
language.
Actually, I would venture to say I'd get on stage more if I didn't have sex with him.
Yeah.
Ah.
I think she's doing well in spite of me. Because
By
she's
the way,
very liberal.
yeah, and I
I'm
told
the guy that screams the N-word and hates Jews.
He
this
you
is
know?
the
does
funny.
it.
This is the funniest joke because like Keanu and me had a talk offline. She's a girl's girl and she took me to a bar once because I was really getting obsessive. And she goes,
I love her.
you don't have to stoop down low to your ex and be a better person.
Yeah.
And you should know, like, it was so funny because I'm like, shit, I should have talked to you before I dated him. She's like, and you should know that if you didn't date him, you'd probably get more stage time. So go back to that point where you would just go. be
Well
hungry for
said,
stage.
baby. Yeah.
But that's hard to do when you have gatekeepers. And you know that more than
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh,
if my ex wants a 28-year-old to succeed in the comedy clubs and he has power for that, he's going to make that girl succeed and not me. And that's the
Right.
power of like, my talent might not be showcased because I got to believe in me.
No
Right.
one, bottom line, comedy or not, no one should ever hide you. Like
You see?
that's
no,
absolutely
they should be
ridiculous.
showing you
that-
off.
No,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
this is my audience wants to hear this because a lot of
Yeah.
my audience, they become these secret side chicks and they don't know what to do.
right.
So what would your advice be, I guess? Like what's
the advice is, even though you may feel like, doesn't every girl all the time just feel like worthless and nothing or
Mhm.
whatever, but you're not. Number one, you just have to pull yourself out of that and also say like, you know what, it's not worth my quality of life to fuck around with you. You don't get to make me feel bad. I make myself feel bad enough. I'll never tell you
Right.
that. But nails. And you know what? Shut up and fucking blow me. How about that?
But that's the thing. It goes back to what you said, how like high school comedy is like high school without like money.
Letterman said it.
Letterman said it. Now Geno said it. And you said to me also, maybe because he didn't think you were funny. So it's a popularity contest because I could be technically factually funny. But you're right. If he did not think I fit in with his posse, like if the stupid dumbass staff, with all due respect, who doesn't know, the staff doesn't know.
Anymore. You can go on whatever
The
you
staff
want.
doesn't know because the staff is not on stage like us. So they don't know. They can be seeing, they're not really tuning in, they're making drinks. It's a different ballgame. Also, go make your drinks better. Anyway, we're gonna walk. Sorry, we're gonna like go have a bartending class. Like, don't ask for 80 grand a year and then like shit on well-known comics that really put their artwork in it and then be like, I don't think they're funny. It's like that's why you got fired from the other club. Anyway, we're gonna move on from that. Sorry. Right. Yeah, we're almost done. Yeah, we're gonna wrap up soon. But my point is like, how do you get around that? Whether you date someone, you don't date someone, do you stick into a relationship that doesn't support you?
You shouldn't.
Okay.
No.
You surround like trust
We've
me.
all been in bad relationships.
We've been in bad relationships. Right. So you're
dated
saying it's not
for
comedy or not.
It's
like,
not
you're
just
in a
who you're
bad
dating.
Okay.
Like the people you surround yourself with are what you get.
Mhm.
You are what you think about all day. Like you surround yourself with the people, and you'll be in that world.
Like,
you know
I guess
what
I'm saying if you let's say everyone you respect says you're not funny, do you still think you can make it if that's your
I'm
dream?
used to it. What?
If that's your dream, do you think you can still make it?
But who? If everyone
all I'm
you
saying.
yeah, but everyone that I respect, not only tell me that I'm funny, they tell me when I'm not funny. They tell me when I'm fucking up. They tell me, like this, and like that's what you do. You surround. Like I've had more reps than anyone. I'm in my 50s, so I'm used to fucking yes man. I've listened to fucking,
right.
I don't fucking, that's why when people lean into me, like in trolls and stuff, I'm like, you're a no faceless nobody. So I'll push back on you. I don't care.
I'll answer your question,
Yes.
Janelle, because Geno has an unabashed confidence about him, which is what is so attractive.
I don't know
about him.
why.
Well, don't you think Geno would tell me if I was really bad? He would tell me as a
He
friend.
would
I
probably
wouldn't beg you to come to our apartment and do this show
You
with us
wouldn't.
Yeah,
and make us laugh for 3 fucking hours.
No, but really, would you tell me on stage, like you've seen me, would you, if I was like really, really bad, like everyone says I am, would you say, Chanel, maybe you should stop?
Chanel, you're not listening to the two people that are here. They're your actual friends that are telling you how funny you are.
It's never.
It's always the negative comments that come into your brain.
She's right.
But you never hear the ones that are, you're obviously not funny.
Right.
That's insane.
The people that aren't funny
jealousy
never
and
hear the
insanity
people
to
that
think
tell
that,
them they
but,
aren't funny, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. So
Right,
what's the
so-
secret to like tell the gatekeepers, I guess, if people want to be in comedy, they want to stick it out and they don't want to give up and they don't have friends like us, what would you say then?
If somebody is fucking, if you're rolling around the city and people are telling you aren't funny, you should take that as you are fucking funny and people are fucking worried about it.
People want to weed out.
Wow.
It's true. They're fucking jealous. No, that's not funny. That's stupid. No, you're fucking jealous of that joke, bitch.
But that's
now, do you think the other comics that they do say are funny and that are always on stage, they're just scared of them?
They want to fucking suck their dicks because they
and
can
it's
get
also
them somewhere.
evolved into this because then this is another thing. When I first got up here, I'm 107, and I'm like, you go right to the Comedy Cellar, 2001. 2002, and you're hanging out saying someday I'm going to be at the comics table with, you ready for this? Unwoke Bill Burr, Nick DiPaolo, Jim Norton, Greg Giraldo,
by the way.
And you want to hang out with them. And you know what they're doing at that table? Busting each other's balls.
Right.
Because I know you're funny. So I'm going to fucking tell you how many times you're not funny while busting your balls, and I know you're funny. Now, like Larry Bea, black colored fella, sat here yesterday. But we were laughing because he was the guy when it started to change.
And Larry's fucking funny.
Larry's fucking funny. And
he's like a natural too.
We would go to the cellar, and rather than sit at the comics table when we were both past that brief time, we'd sit at the bar. Because at that point, the kids at the comic tables were these young, getting woke kids who wouldn't bust each other's balls. They'd be like, oh, I love the way that Bill Burr and Dave Chappelle, the craft that went on. Was like, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care.
Right, there's nothing worse than like talking
black people. There's nothing.
The craft of comedy with it's like, I don't want to talk about the fucking craft.
Right.
If you're my friend, then we want to make fun of each other. That's where fucking
Well,
like
even Esty
comedy
once,
comes from. Yeah.
well, even Esty from Comedy Cellar once told me, and she's the woman you want to impress. She's the
Sure.
booker there. She said, Chanel, even if you don't pass here, it doesn't mean you're not funny. And that like hit home.
Yeah, that's
Like
nice.
she knew, like, she's like, it's not about you. It's just my way of booking. And it doesn't mean you can't make a successful
And
career
that's
out
so
of it.
nice of her to say. I love
So
that.
nice of her to say. Because she doesn't have to say that, and she doesn't talk to anyone.
No.
You know,
It's true.
thank God she's Israeli, like Israeli sister from another. But like she was, and she's intimidating. But it's like I took that and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take that to the grave. Like it, you know,
It's
and
true.
I encourage everyone to still do it. Anyway, let's talk about the secret tip for how to make a successful relationship like you guys. Like, what do you think the secret is? That you don't talk?
I believe Casey Musgraves said it best. Mind your own business and life will be gravy.
That is
What
not
the fuck
the
is
way.
that, though?
What
Like,
the fuck are you?
What do you mind your own business? I feel like I mind my own
Yeah,
business.
No, that wasn't meant for you.
Yeah,
It's like,
mind your own business.
mind
That's
your
a
own
great-
biscuits. But the line I was looking for is own your own crazy. That's what I couldn't
Own
think
your
of.
own crazy.
So when you fuck up, just own it. Yeah, God forbid, I didn't mean like
No, I
mind your
like
own
that.
business.
Own your crazy.
Smoke your own smoke and what is it? I can't
Mind
remember.
your own biscuits in life.
Yeah, you
will
were
be
singing it terribly last night, but the
gravy.
line I love is smoke your own smoke and own your own crazy. Like when you fuck up, own it. You know
That's
what I
what
mean?
works with you too, right?
Without a doubt. Like I'm not perfect. I know that's hard to believe, but I will never change the way I am. It's like I'll apologize, but I'm gonna do it again. Well, I'm not gonna do terrible things again, but it's like this is how I am. I'm open. I'm loud.
Here's the
when
secret.
I fucking do what I want to do, and it's usually right when it's wrong. I'm like, my bad.
I wouldn't even say it's usually right, but here's the secret.
Yeah, what's the secret, Kiki?
Enjoy spending time with that person. Enjoy having sex with that person. I
Yes.
know, look at him, right?
Don't take it for
but
granted.
You lucky,
Yeah.
lucky gal.
if you have a smile on your face and you can make each other laugh, and even if you bicker and argue because he wears a headband and he refuses to stop, leaving tissues all around the house, just put the tissues in his closet,
put her
and then
big
he'll
toe in your mouth
understand.
every morning. As gross as that
I
is.
know,
that.
exactly. Just be obsessed with each other. And even when you're not obsessed with each other,
So true.
then put her foot in your mouth.
That's how you
Yeah.
become, though. Like that's the one, right? It's like
But
when you can work it out and like you're annoyed with each other, but you still want to.
But it's a Mediterranean thing. It's that like we fight. Like if I don't like someone, I don't fight with them.
Right.
I go, what a
Right.
piece of shit, and I walk away. You know what
I know.
I
I
mean?
used to argue with my ex. He's like, people who love each other really don't fight. I'm like, you're living in La La Land, bitch. 'Cause
Yes,
yeah,
they
you're
do.
stupid.
Yes, they do.
People
Relationships
that
are
people
hard
that don't
work.
care about each other don't fight with each other.
Right. It's hard work.
Right.
I get that shit all the time. Like, oh, Geno turned on this guy. No, I thought you were my friend.
No,
and I'm
there
gonna
is
fight with you.
nothing more
And if we're not friends,
toxic-
we're done fighting. I'm sorry, baby. You go.
There is nothing more toxic than silence. I mean,
Right. That's what my mom
Italians,
used
maybe
to
we
do.
work it out or
Except
yell
the
at
vaccine.
each other. But
There's nothing.
Oh, here we
get
go.
out of here. All right, we're getting a divorce. Never mind.
Okay, wait.
Strike
I have a
everything I said
question
from the
too.
record.
What would you guys suggest to check out one spot that you both love, whether it's a couple or just individually, to like go and check out it for
Ooh.
Chanel in the City audience?
for like a date night dinner?
Yeah.
Nightly on
Nightly's.
the Upper East Side.
It was so
It's
cute.
new.
I knew
It's
you'd
owned
say
by
that.
the Uva and Uva Next Door conglomerate.
Yes.
We just went there. Holy moly, it is fucking
If
amazing.
she's saying this, you guys, y'all got to check it out.
Can I
Nightly.
do one as well?
Yeah.
The place we went the other night, the Lizzie in 92.
Delizia 92, and they probably, this is sort of a secret, but it looks like a pizza shop, but
Okay.
it's like a speakeasy in the
A
back.
buddy
like
of ours,
jazz.
if I
Yeah.
may, a buddy of ours, because I walk by it all the time. It's right. We're on. You walk by it, and it looks like a pizzeria, right? So a buddy of ours is like, oh, I love this place, and he gets us for our wedding a gift certificate there, like a gift card. So I'm like, all right. So I walk in a couple weeks ago with her. It's like I'm wearing I'm wearing a headband. I got a hoodie on, and I walk in, and Keanu's like, no, there's room back there. And
I
it's this
said we
back.
have to go to the back.
So I go to
because
the
it's
back
a
room. I
white
walk in. I'm like, yeah, I'd like
table,
dinner.
yeah.
And they're like, you need what the fuck? It's like I walked in. They're like, you can't fucking be in here. And it is such a secret place,
I
but
love that.
it's 92nd and 2nd.
Yeah.
And I got this veal dinner. Oh my god, they're like the appetizer tonight is artichoke with melted mozzarella and
goat cheese.
and goat cheese.
Yum. I
It
love
was
No,
goat
you
cheese.
can't. It's I've never seen in my life. They take the whole artichoke, stem and all, cut it in half, bake
Yum.
it, grill it, whatever they do. You can eat the whole thing. and cheese is melted on it. Oh my!
And they
God.
have live jazz
Yum.
music from Thursday to Sunday. From 6
I
to
love
10.
And you know
jazz.
what else you love?
Yeah.
All whites. It was like all white.
Okay, never
All right,
mind.
here.
Forget it. Take anyone but Geno on a date there
Kidding.
because when I divorced him,
And they were.
you know.
I'm kidding. One Mexican guy. Table was
Okay,
spotless.
anyway,
What? Come on.
Okay.
those are our
Anyway,
picks. Yes,
But
nice
here,
and pleasing
those are
options.
good suggestions. I love that.
One black
All right,
guy. And
we're
I
gonna
will
have,
tell you-
okay. We're gonna have you guys on another time also because we're gonna continue this because these are my dear friends. They're always gonna
Never
come
seen
on.
these
We're
women
gonna
in
talk
my
about pop culture stuff next time. More
Yes.
pop culture. I just wanted you guys to
Please.
know. Oh, one tip to being, I guess we talked about this, but one tip each of you can go about being successful in the entertainment industry or in comedy or in life.
Be yourself. Don't care about anybody else.
Uh,
Everybody has their own path.
Even when everybody hates you. Okay.
As Cheryl Crow once said, if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad.
Wow. You should make those t-shirts.
Oh my
Okay.
God, my
think Cheryl Crow
nipples
would
are
sue me.
hard. I'm getting goose flesh.
I love Cheryl Crow.
It's a great
We
song.
should have a Cheryl Crow party.
Well, I'll do
A
another
theme
one.
party.
I'll do another
Let's
Cheryl
have
Crow
it.
quote. It's not having what you want; it's wanting what you've got.
Here's another one from Casey Musgraves. Mind your own biscuits and life will be gravy.
It's true. It's true.
I love that. Guys, you've been fantastic. Guys, I want you guys to check out Geno Bisconte in Hot Water and Keanu Bisconte, Keanu Cast. You've seen me on both. They have great
But
guests.
she's under Keanu
Well,
C.
I'm
Thompson
Keanu-
for a
and
comedy.
Oh,
you
Keanu
can-
But I
C.
love that
Thompson.
you did that. But it's Keanu
Yes,
C. Thompson.
If
it's
you're
Keanu C.
No
Thompson.
disrespect
She's
anyway,
still
then.
doing Beyonce. Okay?
Yes,
She's still doing her independent woman. Keanu, plug in your socials and then Geno, plug in your socials.
So, even though my legal name is Keanu Bisconte, I am still Keanu C. Thompson everywhere. You can see it scrolling at the bottom if you are listening. Keanu Cast, wherever you find your podcast. And if you're a member on YouTube, you can watch the podcast. And we are also live like 4 days a week on YouTube. So Keanu C. Thompson. And for my comedy dates, Keanu C. Thompson again on X and the Instagram. Go ahead, Eugene.
Boom. Patreon.com in hot water. 50% off with the code MULE. And if you Google Geno Bisconte comedian, everything comes up. Like there's a link tree, whatever. But I'm Geno, GENO_BISCONTE on X. And that's it, dude. You'll find me.
This has been so much fun, Chanel.
Did you guys have fun? Because we're gonna have you
By
guys.
the way,
We're gonna have
and-
you guys again. I you don't understand.
And
We
you're
have
going to plug
such.
this podcast, by the way.
That's
because
right.
Best one we did earlier today. And
We
I'm not
did.
just saying that. 3 hours.
I was on his In Hot Water.
So good.
Check it out,
Sound was
patreon.com.
great. Thank you,
Thank you, Keanu.
Drew.
And we have
And
had
I've been
you
on
back
Keanu's
Keanu
cast.
Yes.
Yeah, we had great episodes.
My
We got,
mom is my co-host, and
Oh,
she
she's
just says the
amazing.
nicest things about you.
I love her.
Yeah, you have to
She
check out
is
those episodes. We're gonna
amazing.
have you back for sure.
yes, we're gonna. And also, guys, this has been Chanel Omari, Chanel in the City. Rate us 5 stars. Leave a review, but please a positive one. Okay.
Yes.
Because I'm not a rich girl from Long Island. I literally will be on the street begging you to live with you. I sleep on your couch to make my real comedy. My real comedian to my ex. Motherfucker sleeps on everyone's couch. Is he a real comedian? Anyway, moving forward. We are not going to put down our exes. We're going to rise above. And we're
Yes.
going to talk well about them no matter what, because we are
It's
good
beneath
people.
you to even
Correct.
speak their name, right?
Follow me at Chanel Omari, at Chanel in the City podcast. Follow at iHeartRadio podcast and iHeartRadio. You can find this amazing episode this week airing. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really love you. We
Bye,
appreciate
guys.
you.
Bye.